Hey there, guys. Welcome back to yet another PBS Live episode here on Google Hangouts. Honestly, I've been having a lot more luck here recently with the Google Hangout software than I have with any of the other software that I've been using here recently. And so that's kind of what I've been going with, and I hope that it all continues to work just magically. I also want to let you all know that this is, in fact, a live show, so that if you want to actually hang out in the chat room and ask questions or participate with your other fellow video. Hey there, guys. Welcome. With your other photographer friends, run on over to the YouTube watch page, or I am actually simulcasting this on Periscope tonight. It's something different. I don't usually do that kind of thing, so it's kind of a new thing for me. I did try Periscope a couple of times in the past, and it just didn't really work out all that well, because essentially I was streaming two streams on my network and it was just blowing it up. So for those of you that were wondering, yeah, I've been sick for like the last 2 weeks, so my voice has just been all out of whack, and I just really haven't felt like being on camera here. The sinus infection will kind of do that to you. My nose is all jacked up, and you can feel it when it's coming on. So just everything just was not really jiving as far as like me being on camera. And I enjoy talking to you guys and I enjoy making videos and everything, but just like right now, I still have that lingering cough. It's a total pain in the ass, but it is getting much better. So at any rate, folks, lots of photography news going on in the world right now. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff that's been coming out. More so that I could probably cover here even in an hour-long show, but I did want to try to go ahead and get through as much of that stuff as possible. I mean, there's just been gear for literally days coming out, and it's just been one thing after another. A lot of this stuff is pretty innovative and pretty interesting, and some of this stuff I think is probably going to change the way we as photographers do things in general. And I'm going to talk about a few of those tonight as well. Also, I want to lightly touch on the all-new iPhones that recently came out. I finally got mine in last week. The iPhone 6s Plus with its optical image stabilization and 4K video recording. There's just been a lot of innovation here lately. There's a lot of new tech coming out. Of course, we can't all buy it all, but we can at least try to do our best to stay caught up with what's actually going down out there, and then make the right decisions for us and the way we like to take our photographs, the way we like to do our business, and the way we like to shoot photographs. So also, let me just go ahead and start with the very first thing. I'm going to go ahead and put this up for my YouTube viewers right now. Most of you guys have probably seen or heard something about this. This brand new light camera. Now, this is something that honestly, I'm not really sure about. I really am not all that positive exactly how this is going to work. Now, in theory, this thing sounds amazing. It was just announced a few days ago, but it's not even available yet. At least not yet. And I think that some are a little bit skeptical, as am I. And probably for good reason, because I don't know about you all, but I hear way too many stories here lately where people are jumping on the bandwagon a bit early, checking stuff out that isn't even been in production yet, especially with Indiegogo campaigns and Kickstarter campaigns, and people are all the time trying to get their hands on some of the newest, latest, bleeding edge technology, and some of it is just not being made. It's just quite simply not getting done. And I say that because I can't even begin to count how many campaigns on Kickstarter have taken millions upon millions of dollars and then not given anything to the people that actually contributed to the campaign. It's crazy how many people are getting taken to the cleaners and getting absolutely nothing in return. But I mean, that's, kind of the risk that you take, I think. If you're going to back a company that absolutely positively has no experience building, making, creating, distributing, marketing, anything ever before, they just had a really cool idea. They put together some flashy promotional material, and then they got a bunch of people on the hype train, got a bunch of people to donate and contribute to the campaign and everything, and then they get nothing. So I'm going to try to reserve my skepticism, because in a lot of these cases, I want this stuff to work out. It's not like that I don't want it to be, produced, because I do. But I'm just extremely leery when people start asking me for money for a product that's not even going to be released for a full year. So what we're looking at here is called the Light camera. And of course, they've got some flashy, really good looking promotional material here on the website. For those of you that are watching on Periscope, you can go and check it out at light.co, light.co. And, okay, so let's just go on down to the second portion here. Now, here's what it says. It says, it takes a big change to go small. And it goes on to say, using a new approach to folded optics design, the Light L16 camera packs DSLR quality into a slim and streamlined camera body. It's like having a camera body, zoom, and 3 fast prime lenses right in your pocket. Pretty interesting. I mean, they had me just with the promotional picture, right? So what this camera is touting is that it is supposed to have a total of 16 lenses inside this camera body. Go on down to the next portion of the page, and it says enlightened photography with 16 individual cameras, 10 of them firing simultaneously. That's a lot of cameras firing simultaneously. The L16 captures the detail of your shot at multiple fixed focal lengths. Then the images are computationally fused to create an incredibly high quality final image with up to 52 megapixel resolution. Hey, I mean, that's even more than, the brand new Sony AR Mark II that just came out. We're talking 10 megapixels more. So surely it's got to be good, right? Right? Now, again, I'm not trying to be a shithead, but at the same time, I want to keep my skepticism at the fore. Okay? Now, do I think that this is an innovative idea? Absolutely. But do I think that a company that's never made jack shit before, can they actually deliver on this majorly huge promise? Okay? That I just don't know. I don't. I mean, you've got other camera companies that have been in the business for, I don't know, 100 years. Whenever, let's just start with maybe 25 years ago when digital first started to become a thing. I mean, that was pretty interesting stuff. And you would think that someone with that much money for R&D and research and plenty of laboratories and places like that could actually get something like this done, why haven't they done it? But then again, I also realize that there are a lot of companies out there that rest on their laurels, and they just don't really go for much. They don't go for much innovation because they don't have to. They've got plenty of money in the bank, and they've got plenty of people suckling on their proverbial teat, because they're the only guys in town anyway. So they don't really have to come up with anything interesting or unique or amazing or whatever. They just get to kind of do whatever they want. And a lot of times that involves not innovating. So I'm trying to give these guys of the Light company the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so then it says nothing between you and the perfect shot. Light's friendly interface and large touchscreen makes it easy to capture professional looking photos on the go, and with onboard editing and built-in Wi-Fi, sharing your favorite site is just a touch away. Or sharing to your favorite site is just a touch away. Okay, so we already know that Wi-Fi and NFC is capable. It's been around in cameras now for quite some time. So that is not so much of an innovation, but it is nice to know that they are forward thinking about the amazingly social world that we live in. And they already know that, we want to share these photographs. Okay. Now here is some stuff that I am a little bit more skeptical of. And the reason I am is because Lytro, if any of you have been in the know here recently, Lytro tried to do something extremely similar. I don't know, I guess for the last 2 or 3 years, they've tried to come out with these cameras with quote unquote light field technology, right? And apparently, it was clunky. It wasn't well implemented. The user interface and the only place that you could share these images was on a proprietary site. They just did a horrible job doing anything with these cameras after the fact. The hype was cool, the technology was cool, but in real world applications it fell completely flat. No one bought it, no one was into it, no one really liked it, so they said fuck it, we're not going to use these cameras. And now you can find them on bargain websites for like, $6.99, whereas they were like, $2,000. So apparently this company here is also trying to do something extremely similar. And if you read over here to the left, it says depth of field, focus on what you love. Using sophisticated depth mapping technology, Light lets you adjust focus and depth of field even after a photo is taken all the way to f1.2. Now, again, I'm trying to maintain a certain level of skepticism, healthy skepticism. There's nothing wrong with that. It actually helps you not spend money that you otherwise might on complete and total garbage that's never going to work in the first place, or at the very least barely work, and then you're not even going to get your money's worth out of it. You're not going to use it. So again, when you look at stuff like this, when people are presenting stuff like this, you are trying your best to like what they have to say, because you want to figure out a way to fit that into your workflow, right? And for any photographer that has ever been out on a job and accidentally missed focus on something extremely important during an extremely important event where that extremely important client is giving you big, super important money, it would be nice to go back in after the fact and just click on whatever it is that you actually meant to focus on and get that shot. So this particular, piece of tech, I'm going to go ahead and stop the Periscope. No one's watching. I guess, I can't get people to really use Twitter or Periscope for that matter. I don't know why. I mean, most of my viewers just happen to be on YouTube, I guess. They just don't want to use anything else. And I can't say that I blame them. I'm really I've tried Periscope a couple different times. It just doesn't seem that awesome to me. But yeah, so if you got big clients, big money, and they're paying you to get a shot, having that kind of technology built in to your camera setup, being able to get the focus that you had originally intended to get without ever having to worry about missing it ever again. You were fiddling with this, or you were distracted by this person at the wedding and you missed that shot. that you can't help. But if you're actively trying to nail focus and get the shot, and it just so happens that it doesn't work, you know, that's something else. And it would be nice to have this kind of technology available so that you could correct that problem. Hey, I took the shot. I was there. I was present. I was actively engaged with my subjects. I was trying to nail focus, and I missed by this much. It's just a little bit, but I missed by that much. So it really would be nice to come back later after the fact and, you know, nail that focus. So now they even say that this thing is going to have optical zoom. And it even says with built-in 35 to 155 millimeter true optical zoom, you get right into the scene without fuzziness or pixelation. Now, I'm a huge fan of optical zoom. I don't like digital zoom at all. It's basically the same concept as optical zoom versus digital zoom is basically what native ISO is versus expanded ISO. It's a fake zoom. It's basically just cropping into the image. So it's not true zoom. But the form factor of this particular camera doesn't really seem like it would allow for that huge of a zoom. 35 to 150 millimeter, really? In this form factor? I don't know. Maybe I'm just missing something. Or maybe the technology really is there. But again, I'm trying my damnedest to reserve judgment while the entire time being relatively skeptical. That's what you're supposed to do. Right. Okay, now it even says that it's going to do well in low light. It says fine light even in the shadows. Low light conditions bring out the best in light's imaging engine. Oh, does it really? Why is your engine so much better? You get beautifully lit photos even as the day's light starts to fade. See, so they kind of make they make this like really crazy claim. Like low light conditions bring out the best in light's imaging engine. And then they hedge that claim with even as the day's light starts to fade. Not, all right, it's faded. Okay, now we're in the twilight. Okay, now the sun's just about gone. You know, they hedge that claim. So they make a big claim and then they hedge it down so that no one has any like really high expectations. Or they hype it with the first sentence and then try to temper it with the second one. Go, well, we did say as the day's light starts to fade. I mean, we did have that disclaimer. You saw that, right? So again, I'm skeptical, but I'm hopeful. Now, they really do have a really cool video on their website. It says the story of light. The founders share the inspiration and innovation behind the L16's cameras, revolutionary design. I'm not going to show it here to you, but I will leave it in the description box below later. As a matter of fact, you can go to light.co, light.co, and you can watch it now if you want. But I would prefer that you guys stay hanging out with me. So this is the full look at what this camera is going to look like. To me, the grip looks chunky enough. It kind of looks like some of the older Sony NEX cameras. Personally, I mean, I think the texture is extremely close. Maybe they even borrowed from, who the fuck knows. But look at that flipping array of camera lenses on the front of this thing. I mean, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm counting 16. Oh, okay. And then this thing right here is an infrared laser rangefinder. All the rest of these are lenses, but this is a infrared. Now this flash is complete garbage. I mean, that thing's just going to be shit. It'll be probably just as good, if maybe a smidge better than maybe your cell phone. But overall, that flash is going to be complete crap. All right, are you ready? Now, that was all the hype. go down here and we click on reserve, the light L16 1. This flipping camera is going to be $1,700. $1,700. But they are giving you a launch month discount of -400. 400. The shipping will be free. Well, I fucking hope it will be. So your total, if you reserve, you don't get to buy. This is not a buy. This is a reserve. But you got to reserve it for $200 right now. The balance of $1,100 plus applicable taxes due in late summer 2016. So you're literally looking at a full year. A full year before you ever get this thing in your hands. I have a really tough time with that kind of stuff because there have been a couple of other products that I have talked about on this show. I have featured it on this program. The Lily camera happens to be one of them. Not even going to be released until February. Of course, I hyped it when it first came out because I thought that the tech was amazing, and they kind of already sort of had some videos of the thing flying and the whole thing. So I just sort of imagined that the tech was already available. The hard work had already been done, and that they were basically just trying to generate revenue to mass produce the damn thing. But this camera, the light L16, I don't even think they had this thing in production. I think they have maybe like 3 prototype models. One that the co-owners or CEO have, one that the investors probably look at every time they come in for a board meeting, wondering where all their money's going. And then the third one, they're probably passing around to all the media outlets, trying to generate some hype so more and more people run over here and reserve their camera. I just don't know that I'm going to buy into it. I'm honestly going to contact them soon, and I'm going to see if I can get on a list to get my hands on it personally. Whether they'll actually give it to me, I have no idea. Sometimes it is nice to be into a field like YouTube, talking about stuff that you actually like to do, because sometimes you get early access. But generally you have to ask first. You have to be really nice. You have to almost promise that you're going to say nice things, because they really don't want, like, if you say, look, I'm just going to give an honest review or an honest overview or whatever, and then people start kind of backing up. They're like, yeah, but we're paying you. I'm like, yeah, but you're paying me to talk about your product, good or bad. You're not paying me to say good things. So honestly, I mean, we're doing pretty good right now with cell phones. Point and shoots have been around for a long time. It's not like the form factor is revolutionary or anything. The only thing that really stands out about this thing is the fact that this particular invention has 16 different lenses built in. So that means you've got all these different lenses that you can literally carry in your pocket with a price tag of $1,700. So I want to preface all of my criticisms with some positives here. If this thing actually materializes, if it actually breaks out and it actually becomes real and it's not just a website with some pretty pictures, awesome. If it actually breaks out and it actually does what they say that it can do, awesome. And it just might actually be worth the asking price. But I guarantee you, and this is just me and my cynicism, I guess, but I'm going to let all the suckers probably buy this thing. And then in about 6 to 8 months, I'm going to pick it up for $5.99 on Amazon or Woot.com. $5.99 or $6.99 for that. That's pretty awesome. unless it's just mind-blowing. I mean, if it really does do everything that they say it can do, then it might actually be worth the asking price. Because, I mean, who wouldn't want to carry around 16 lenses in their pocket and it'd be no bigger than, a cell phone, with 16 lenses on the front? I would do it. I would totally do it. Now, for the purchase price, though, most amateurs are not buying that camera. Most people that are on a strict, tight budget, they're not buying that camera because it doesn't meet requirements for amateur photographers. They're not looking to spend that much, not when they can get something that makes them feel more pro for a lot less. And I'm talking like, intro DSLRs, APS-C size sensor DSLRs like the Nikon, 5300 or the 3300 or, the 7100 or whatever. There's plenty of other camera bodies out there that amateurs can afford, and they don't make you feel like you're walking in with a point and shoot. So I don't really think it's going to serve amateur photographers, and I don't really think that this is going to serve the pro market either. I think this would be a hobby camera. This would be a fun camera for professionals that have the extra cash to burn on a toy. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I've got a pretty good sixth sense about this kind of stuff, though. I'm honestly, I'm not too bad at calling stuff. I mean, I'm not going to toot my horn or anything, but I called the switch to mirrorless long time ago when everyone else was telling me I was completely wrong and I was out of my mind and that was crazy. And what the hell are you doing? Why would you sell all your DSLR stuff? And now everyone and their mom is in the mirrorless game. Everybody. So anyway, enough about the light camera. Just wanted to go ahead and remind everyone that this is in fact a live show. And if you want to hang out with me, leave some comments. We're going to be doing some question and answer here in just a few minutes. So hop on over there to the YouTube watch page, jump in the chat room, send me some questions. I'll read them here on the show and hopefully get some feedback from you guys. That's half the reason I like to do the live show, is actually talking to you all. Because if you don't talk back to me, it's just like talking to myself, and that's fucking weird. But I do have a couple of other Phototech announcements. I wanted to show you guys this thing. It's probably not something that you would normally see or buy, but it's called the Minimal. As you see here, it says compact, versatile, portable, powerful. This thing is basically a mixing board for Lightroom. It's a MIDI controller that will allow you to, I'll just let you take a look at the pictures first. It's very minimal, as it states. I mean, it's only a few knobs, a few buttons, a slider. So we're not talking about anything revolutionary here. I think it's basically it's a MIDI controller that someone has adapted to work with Lightroom. That's pretty much all it is. And you can even see on the top right-hand corner that it says Behringer. And Behringer is always a manufacturer of audio equipment. As a matter of fact, I'm using a Behringer mixing board right now. And you can see it says mic mode, and it's got some. So what they did is they use their Behringer's tech and they put some stickers on it. This is essentially what it does. The Minimal controller is a compact and versatile MIDI controller based on the new Behringer X-Touch Mini that's small enough to take with you. In its default configuration, the Minimal gives you real-time access to 76 of Lightroom's functions, presets, and brushes. The Minimal's 8 digital encoders give you instant, intuitive access to Lightroom's most important settings. Like its big brother, the P-Fixer panel, the Minimal stays in constant two-way sync with Lightroom and allows multiple simultaneous adjustments. With its smaller footprint and compact design, the Minimal controller doesn't require a separate power cord. It gets all the power it needs over USB, so there's only one cable to plug in. And they want $99 for it. It's expected to ship here in just about 1 week. I think it's pretty cool tech. It's nothing earth-shattering or whatever, but I had not really seen anything that small and that compact made specifically for Lightroom yet. But it's available for Lightroom 6, Creative Cloud, and also compatible with El Capitan. So if you're a heavy Lightroom user, you do a lot of heavy editing, that might be something that you want to look into. I don't really know. But I at least wanted to bring it to your all's attention because we're constantly looking for quicker, faster ways to get massive amounts of editing work done. I know that I am all the time. And I just think that maybe a actual board, something physical to lay your hands to and kind of work with, that would probably be a really good way to handle it. So, and you can find all of that. Once again, I'll have the links in the description below, but you can find it at pusherlabs.com. Pusher labs.com. And last but not least, what I wanted to talk about as far as cameras and gear and stuff like that, Canon is releasing just an absolute shit ton of new mirrorless cameras. The G5, the G9, the EOS M10. All of these cameras are just, they're coming basically one right after another these days. Everyone was making fun of mirrorless like less than a year ago. It's a toy. It's not good enough. It's not pro enough. It's not usable. It, maybe a baby can use it. And now all of a sudden, Canon's dropping like 4 of them all at once. It just goes to show you that, you can't always make calls on tech. And it does sometimes help to reserve our cynicism and our grouchy, bitchy natures just because we go, oh, that can't work. That's complete horseshit. But if it actually fits into someone's workflow extremely well, you'll find that people will pick stuff up, if not just to try it. And if it does fit into the workflow, there's going to be absolutely no reason to stop using it. Then they're going to proselytize, and then more and more people are going to proselytize. But the mirrorless thing was bound to come. It took film like 80 years, 90 years to switch to digital, and it's only taken digital about 25 years to switch to mirrorless. So I don't really think that, anything should be pushed off the table for consideration just yet. Some people just like to bag early because they think it makes them sound super uber cool. The Cyborg Gamer says, "Hi, this is Guardo, a good cam." Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. Okay, and the last thing that I was going to talk to you guys about, because most of you are, in fact, Sony users, DP Review just recently released their full Sony RX10 Mark II review, and it got the gold. It got the gold. It got it on the last iteration as well. I'll just go ahead and go through the conclusions here with you. We're literally talking almost excellent on everything, but for the most part, most people are buying this camera for the movie and the video mode because it had S-Log built in. And it's only one tick away from being absolutely 100%. Got an overall score of 82. And I think that that's just because of the fact that it is a bridge camera. It's not going to like go over the top with, they're not going to give it an overly extremely high score because of the fact that you can't swap lenses. And, but honestly, it's already got a 24-200 built in. You know what I mean? And it's a Zeiss lens to boot. So this score just reinforces the fact that if you're not interested really in going with full interchangeable lens camera systems yet, the bridge cameras are becoming amazing second cameras, hobbyist cameras. The only thing that's holding this thing back just a little bit, I think, in my opinion, is the price. I mean, they want $1,300 for this camera, but in my opinion, I don't think that it's all that bad. Again, Zeiss glass, 24 to 200 built in Zeiss glass, 2.8 aperture throughout the entire focal range. I mean, that's just insane. For basically what is being marketed as a consumer grade camera. But I'd use the absolute dog shit out of it. I really would. It's kind of on my list to get again, but I'm waiting for a fully articulating screen. I mean, Sony gets so close with most of their cameras here recently. They get really, really close to where I want to be. But I really do feel like in order for me as a YouTuber, as a person that is constantly creating video content and stuff like that, I need to be able to flip that screen around, be able to frame myself, because I don't want to spend that much money on a camera system that I'm only going to use when I'm out working for clients. I want to buy a good camera system that I can in turn use for my personal work and YouTube as well. So, I have criteria that I want to meet first. And then of course, everyone else has got, their own criteria. Make up your own minds about what you need. But Amin says, "What's happening, man? What's going on? Having a drink? Talking cameras. It's always a good day when that's going down." Head Kitty Coin says, "Sony always seems to get gold." No, they don't. They actually did kind of bad on one of their last camera reviews. I believe it was the original A7. I think it got a silver. I'd have to go back through and look, but I know that one of the A7 cameras got a silver and did not get a gold. I did want to go ahead and talk just a little bit about the iPhone 6s Plus. Now, I'm upgrading from a few generations back. The last iPhone that I had was the iPhone 5S. So it had been a couple of generations for me. But again, I was waiting for 4K. Now we have it. I plan on doing a full-on review of the cameras on the Sony iPhone, or on the Sony iPhone, the iPhone 6s Plus. Again, realistically, the bigger form factor is not really conducive to, one hand holding of the phone. It is a phablet after all. But I wanted the optical, image stabilization. So I opted for the 6s Plus. I've been using it for probably the last week now. I got the 128 gig, and for whatever reason, most of the silvers and the space grays were all sold out. So I was kind of having to wait for their stock to come in. But because I take a lot of video, I wanted the 128 gigabyte model so that I would never have to worry about space ever again. And that's what I ended up going with. And I tell you what, having that much space and being able to take all those 4K videos and not stressing my ass off about, oh my God, I gotta hurry up and dump those videos on the computer before I run out of space. That is a glorious, glorious feeling. Let me just say. But the cameras, even the front-facing camera, is so much better. I think personally that the color rendition of the two cameras are they're an extremely natural rendition. Some of the Sony or the Samsung cameras, like the Galaxy S6, I know that a lot of people have been saying that that it has an amazing camera. I'm sure that it does. I've seen some of the samples. I just don't happen to be in that ecosystem, or I probably would have gotten one. But a lot of people were comparing the two, the iPhone 6s with the Samsung Galaxy or S6 or whatever. And they were saying that the major differences are the fact that the Samsung seems to render all their images and all their video with a lot more contrast and saturation. And from my own comparisons of the two, I would say that that's 100% on par. The iPhone seems to render everything a bit more natural, a bit more neutral. I don't know if that's on purpose or if that's maybe sensor design or whatever, but they don't seem to crush those colors, which ultimately give most cell phone pictures kind of an amateurish look anyway. But I'm kind of glad that they didn't decide to go the oversaturated route with these cameras, because that gives me a little bit of extra leeway when I'm doing post work and I'm editing videos and I'm editing photos to manipulate the color a little bit more. And let me just say that if you haven't upgraded, or maybe you have, I'm really enjoying the cameras. So much so that I did my whole last Hot Deals video on that camera. It's not the best looking image in non-ideal lighting conditions, but the fact of the matter is I can get work done so fast. I think within probably the next 3 to 5 years, a cell phone camera with maybe some clip-on or some magnetic lenses are going to be just about what the vast majority of us are going to be carrying around all the time. Point and shoots will die. They will eventually no longer exist. There's an entire generation, aka our parents, that are about to die, and the point and shoot will die with it. I just think cell phones in general are going to completely kill that market. There's going to be no need to carry two different devices. It's redundant and it's unnecessary, and I don't think that anyone at that point will be able to justify the extra cost. Again, I could be wrong, but I don't think that I am. I think the point and shoot will go the way of the dinosaur. But I do have a full review of the cameras and the image quality and the 4K, the slow motion, the optical image stabilization of these cameras, because I think that with movies that came out like Tangerine, maybe some of you have heard about it, some of you haven't. I talked about it with Hugh Brownstone on a previous episode of PVS Live, but Tangerine was a indie movie, a full indie movie that was completely recorded on an iPhone. It was just recently released. You can check out some of the reviews. You can look up the trailer online. But it goes to show you that you can get a lot done without having to spend a whole lot of money. You can get a lot done if you think creatively about what you're doing and what you have to work with. You don't have to blow, or take out a second mortgage in order to get some of the stuff done. And with the advancements in these cell phone cameras, if they ever add a flat picture style to any of these videos, I'm going to shit. And I'm probably going to end up using my iPhone in 4K to kind of shoot a small little, test movie, a promotional movie, to kind of give you all an idea of just how well this footage can be handled and even graded a bit. It's true. I lowered the saturation in post, added some film convert to the footage. Oh man, it looked really nice. And the fact that the damn thing is in my pocket at all times, that is a major, major selling point. And I hate to say it, since I've had the camera, I haven't even touched my Sony camera at all. I haven't touched any of my Sony lenses at all. And I'm not all that sorry about it. I've actually really enjoyed the images and the video that my phone has been able to produce. And because it's in my pocket all the time, it doesn't really make much sense. Unless I'm doing client work or something like that, there's no point in dragging a completely separate camera around with me all the time. Not to mention, 9 times out of 10, all of our content, all of our pictures, all of our videos, they always end up on some form of social media, YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. That's where our generation is consuming media. Our parents may not be, our grandparents may not be, but us, almost all of us are consuming our media online. We don't really have photo albums anymore. We don't use them. We use Flickr or we use Facebook or whatever. So to me, there is a huge benefit to having a fantastic camera on a flagship phone like the iPhone or the Samsung S6 or any of the. I know that the brand new Sony Lumina camera, I believe that's what it. I'll look it up, but it is getting some wickedly sick. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? It is getting some sick reviews. And I know the new Motorola Moto X style camera has gotten a little bit of hype as well, but let me see if I can find it. I can't find it right now, but I know it's a Sony phone. I just can't remember what it's called right now. If some of you all know what it is, or if you find it, help a brother out right now. But anyway, everyone is pretty much saying that the image quality that's coming off this new Sony phone is absolutely off the charts. And I'm probably at least a little bit curious to see how it compares. Because, I mean, I'm heavily invested in Apple's ecosystem, but I do want an amazing camera. And I think they've done a very good job with this particular iteration. The only thing I'm a little pissed about at this point is the fact that they have not fucking given us 1080p on the front. We've got 5 megapixels now on the front facing camera, but we're still limited to 720p. I don't understand that. You only need 4 megapixels to get full HD resolution. There's absolutely no reason in this day and age. It's 2015 Apple. Who the fuck wants 720p? Do you want 720p? Do you want 720p? I don't want it. Yes, Aaron Wood says, is it the new Xperia? And it is. And I believe it's called like the X5 or the Z5 or something like that. Apparently, it's getting sick reviews as far as image quality, video quality, and stuff from their cameras. I'd like to see a comparison between the iPhone 6S Plus and that one, just to kind of get a baseline to see which direction it's leaning. But I'm going to reserve my hype as per usual. But yes, I do believe it's the new Xperia. Okay, so that was all the photo news that I had. I do want to let everyone, remind everyone that this is a live show, so I'm going to spend a few more minutes jib-jabbing, but if you have any questions for me, if you want to say anything here on the program, go ahead and drop on over there to the YouTube watch page. Hang out with the other fellow photographers. Leave me a comment or a message. I'll read it here on the show. And then I'm going to call it quits. Because my voice still got a lingering cough. But y'all don't feel bad for me at all. You don't feel bad for me at all. You're just like, keep talking. Entertain us. But yeah, the other thing was the fact that these cameras, at least on the Sony 6S Plus, they have the optical image stabilization, which if you combine that with a counterbalance, whether it be like a monopod or some sort of like counterbalance, you can get some really, really sweet moving shots. You know what I'm saying? If you want to do any sort of like pans or any sort of like follow shots or anything, you combine the amazing camera with a decent app. You have to have a decent app, because if you use the shitty built-in app, yes, it will auto expose, it'll auto ISO, it'll do everything auto, and after it makes a transition to the new settings, it'll look good. But there's absolutely nothing sexy about swapping from 100 ISO to 500 ISO because you're now exposing for the shadows in a bunch of bushes or whatever. So you have to have some sort of pro level app. I happen to use like ProCam. I believe it's called ProCam 2. I'll just double check so that I'm not giving you guys false info. Yes, it's called ProCam. I don't know how much it costs. I bought it a really long time ago, but it has everything that you could possibly imagine. It has, you can do auto exposure or auto exposure lock. You can adjust your ISO. You can adjust your autofocus. You can adjust rule of thirds. You can put different types of grids. You can choose 24 frames per second, 25 frames per second, 30 frames per second, 60, 120, 240. You can pick all of those and you can lock focus and you can lock exposure on different things. I know a lot of people recommend Filmic. I think it's called Filmic Pro. You might want to just try this ProCam app. It, in my opinion, I think it just fucking looks better. It seems more minimalistic. Filmic is a good app. I've had it for years, but they really need to upgrade that user interface. It just doesn't do it for me at all. But if you combine a nice pro level app like ProCam and the amazing cameras on the phone, and you use just a few rules of composition, a few rules of lighting, a few rules of camera movement and cinematography, you can make some gorgeous, amazing, beautimous shit. I mean, you're going to put it up on fucking YouTube anyway. It's not like you're releasing it to DVD or your local theater. You're going to put it on YouTube and it's going to look amazing. I'm just saying. You can get away with it. You can. You combine that with maybe like a small, I know they make an anamorphic lens for smartphones. I know they make wide angle lens. I know they make a fisheye lens. And I know they make a macro lens. You can combine all that stuff. Cheap stuff, like a tripod. I mean, a monopod could easily be like a Steadicam. It has, you could drop enough weight down with just the leg alone to help counterbalance the weight. So just with those small, meager amounts of tools, you can get some amazing shit done. And I'm going to attempt to put some of that in my final iPhone camera review. And I'm really going to dive down deep. If you have any questions or if you have any, stuff that you want me to do with the camera to kind of prove its worth or prove what it's capable of, just leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear it because I'll take all of those considerations to heart and I will try my best to work it into the final review. I was going to release it tomorrow, but I don't think I am now, especially if you guys give me a bunch of fucking homework assignments and stuff. Then, I might end up having to kind of put that on pause. But I think the main reason that I want to do this is because I want to prove that amazing things can actually be done. More so because of a creative eye, a creative soul, and just going back to the basics. Basic rules of composition, basic rules of lighting, basic rules of cinematography, camera movements. 9 times out of 10, cell phone footage looks fucking amateur, not because it's on a cell phone, but because it's usually handheld and it's shaky as shit. Stabilize it, put it on a tripod, put it on a Steadicam, put it on a monopod even. Just get your hand off of the device. That's where all the trouble comes from. That's where all the amateur bullshit comes from, is because you actually have your hands on the device. Not because it was recorded on a phone. Aaron Wood says the Z5. Yes, it's called the Xperia Z5. Thank you very much for looking that up for me. I appreciate it. And Hogard says, dude, you rule. Love your show. Man, I love it when you pump sunshine up my ass right here on the air. I appreciate it very much. So at any rate, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the program. Like I said, if you have any questions, I really do try my best to answer all those questions. When you leave a comment on my videos or you shoot me an email or whatever, I do my best. I really do, to try and answer all of them. Sometimes I get a little bit lax. Sometimes I get a little backed up. But when I get to them, I see them and I go, shit, I need to answer those questions. So I don't want anyone to ever feel like that I'm not accessible. Because if you do have questions, if you need advice, or maybe you just need a little bit of help, I'm always lurking around somewhere. I'm always answering emails and private comments constantly. So don't be afraid to reach out and get in touch with me, because you know, ultimately it's about all of us helping each other, man. Just giving back and teaching someone that maybe needs a little bit of help. So if you ever learn anything from me and someone ever comes to you with a question, be sure to pass it on. So at any rate, thanks again for stopping here at PVS Live on yet another amazing Tuesday night. Here's one for y'all. And I'll see you guys again in the next one. Peace.